Здравствуйте, меня зовут Санина Катерина, я дизайнер-декоратор. И сегодня я приглашаю вас вместе со мной посетить шоурум Тома Диксона, который находится в Лондоне. Вы увидите его самые известные предметы, лампы, предметы, которые он делает для известных итальянских и зарубежных брендов, а также услышите интересные истории их создания.
Coming back from the trade fair and telling you about what we've been doing in the last few months, and we do Maison et Objet, which is the preeminent trade fair for our business in Paris twice a year, and we've just come back from the September issue, and we showed our new wares. So I'm not going to do a trend report, I'm just going to tell you about what we've been doing, and we've been doing some glassware, and I wanted to show you some of these pictures and tell you a bit more about what we think is interesting in what we're doing in decorative objects. So I've spent a lot of time visiting factories, and I was always fascinated by scientific glassware, probably from when I was a boy, because it was one of those things where you could get away from bookwork and you could actually make concoctions and kind of do alchemy, if you like. But what was kind of great about the scientific glassware that we used in the chemistry lab was that you could kind of make it yourself. Because the way that scientific glassware is made out of what's called borosilicate glass, which is a soda glass, is that it doesn't require tempering, so that you can actually manipulate it without it exploding if you don't cool it down slowly. So there's something quite interesting about the do-it-yourself aspect of scientific glass, and it also allows you to do things that you couldn't possibly do in conventional glass blowing or conventional machine-made glass, which is make shapes within shapes. So these are common in scientific laboratories, and maybe a very long time ago when I was just starting out, I needed to find places that could make things in England, and there was very few workshops left, and I found a workshop in Islington that made scientific glassware, and I made this reversible vase which can be used in two directions, one for a single flower and the other way for a whole bouquet. So it looked very different according to where you filled it up. So when no, that's not me. So when obviously all of the industry in the UK has vanished now, so that workshop in Islington has gone now, and very few people make scientific glass here. So I'm now in a secret location somewhere in the world, which I'm not going to tell you where, and it's not China, is it? And I found another scientific glassware supplier, and this is a fantastic picture of the stacks of glass, and there's something really quite chilling about the possibility of knocking one of those over, and they're massive glass in very tiny corridors that you walk through. There's something really nice about the transparency. Having said that, what was nice about this factory is that they were able to make quite exotic shapes within shapes. So you can see here, this is Darth Vader inside a mug, and this is a skull mug as well. So you can see things that are really quite difficult to do in conventional glass blowing techniques, and that's what appealed about this factory. But what was even nice about this factory is something that doesn't normally happen in scientific glassware, which is colour. So we found there was only 3 or 4 colours, but luckily they had the trend colour of the season, which is the dusty pink in glass, and we combined it with a grey, which I've never seen in borosilicate glass, and made this kind of double layer effect of these vases. And you can see the heritage of the scientific glass here. And you can see also, I'm actually not allowed to call it reversible, but it sort of is. It just doesn't pass the very strict tilt test that we've got. So we have to put things on a 15-degree slope in case there's an earthquake for our Japanese market. So we can't sell this vase as reversible, but it actually is. So if you were to fill it that way, you could put a whole bouquet in, and it would have a very different optical feel. So you can see here the trend of the season, which is called millennial pink, apparently, which everybody seems to be using. But we were using it partly because it was one of the only 2 colours that we could get in scientific glassware. But I think it's really quite nice as a double layer with the grey. So you can see here also not just decorative pieces like vases, but also an infusing teapot. I mean, obviously I'm British, mainly, and I like tea. a lot, but I don't like it with tea bags. So what you've got here is a teapot you can use in all kinds of ways with tea leaves, and also with much bigger items of ginger or mint tea. I was born in North Africa, so mint tea is one of my big memories from the past. So the teapot, which also uses a base of this glossy black glass, which we'll talk about later. There's simultaneous Ukrainian translation going on at this time.
I'm so sorry.
This is weird. Okay. So the advantage of borosilicate is beyond this manufacturing technique and the colours is that it's heat resistant, but also cold resistant. So it's the sort of thing that you could put to freeze and to put even on the cooker if you wanted, and it would resist, which again you wouldn't be able to do with conventional glass. So the fact of using laboratory glass for serveware or for teapots means that you can actually use it to heat up things. So you'd be able to put the teapot on a tea light and it would resist. You could also put it in the freezer. So borosilicate is not only able to make different shapes, you're also able to use it in a much more advanced way than most glass. If I was to put this vase on my cooker, it would just explode. So here you see the whole selection of well, no, you don't see the whole set. Here you see the glasses, the jug and the teapot, and here you see the vase collection with this very defined shape within a shape aesthetic that I was talking about earlier. So that kind of brings me on to the other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of, I wouldn't say trend really. I mean, you know, it's I didn't want to do a trend report, but I quite like black. And there's something interesting about black which I don't think we've paid enough attention to. So, I mean, obviously we're surrounded by an Aladdin's cave of copper and brass, and I guess you'll all know my obsession with the metallics. But the black has been a kind of secret, stealthy weapon. And of course, black is something that we use as a kind of default colour. And in manufacturing, obviously, there's a famous story of Henry T. Ford that said that you could only you could have it in any colour as long as it was black. And we do that anyway because it's the easiest non-colour to use in decoration. Of course, it's used a lot in fashion for a variety of reasons. You know, it makes you look slimmer, it brings out the shape in things, and it draws your attention to the silhouette of objects completely. These are photographs by Nick Knight, who uses a lot of kind of silhouettes in his photography. But we've used it also to have a kind of more mysterious and gothic look, if you like. It's a very easy way of getting a mood, particularly into an interior, if you like. So we've used a lot of these charred wood panels, for instance, and more recently we've been using this black Icelandic sheepskin, which is fantastically expensive, to really rethink some of our upholstery. But you can see how it brings out the silhouette of an object in a way that most other colours just don't do. So you're drawing attention to the pure shape of an object rather than just its surface, if you like. And so it's a very good shorthand for really drawing attention to the essence of an object. And it's particularly good if you're using, you know, punching or piercing or quite expressed shapes. So I think, you know, we use black really to get to the heart of an object and really work out whether it works in its purest output. And you'll see that our shapes work. I think probably the way I describe it is to call it expressive minimalism. So we spend a lot of time getting really quite simple shapes to be almost as pure and as reduced as possible. And that's kind of my job, is to try and get things which appear relatively simple but have the right proportion. And when we highlight them in black, I think we suddenly start to see whether they actually work or not. There's another black lamp. So it's funny, when we did the audit of colours in our business, we realised that actually black was still the best-selling colour. I think for most people would imagine that we'd be copper #1, gold #2, silver #3, but actually black is the best-selling colour. So it's always been the one that people gravitate towards. And I think you'll be seeing a lot more of it. You'll have to excuse me because I've got black teeth. Because of the charcoal biscuits that we served earlier. So I'm going to have to apologise to all of you because you've all got them too now. And, but luckily, because you've also got black hands now, we've also got this black soap which we've been selling for quite a while now. And I think for me also, when I think of London and our roots, I think of a black city. I think a lot of people think of London as a kind of misty city, but I think of it really as those pictures that you see of Victorian times or the 1950s when it was a soot-covered city. And it's quite interesting here actually that this building, which is a dock, as you know, it's called Portobello Dock, is actually a rubbish recycling centre. So you're actually sitting in the place where people recycled Victorian rubbish. And of course in Victorian times very little was recycled because most things were reused just in general. But what UK and particularly London produced in huge amounts was soot. So because it was a coal-fired city and because all heat and quite a lot of light and most power is produced by coal, what was recycled naturally was cinder and soot. So this is actually a place where cinder would come, be drawn up the ramp by horse-drawn carts, and then that cinder would be deposited onto barges in this room. So this is reclaimed from the canal. This would have been water originally, and then taken to the Port of London, put onto sailing barges, and then taken round to Norfolk to be recycled into brick. So if you think about cinder block, which is an American term for breeze blocks, they're made with recycled cinder, and so that's what the ash from the Victorian coal fires were used for, and what this building is originally for. So when I think of London, I think very much of a kind of cinder city and of blackness just in general. So it's only recently that London's been cleaned up and all the blackness that came from the coal fires has been removed. But anyway, so that's why we use it as a kind of symbolic colour. And even in the soap and in my most recent innovation, which is the washing up liquid, is also black. So if you've got a bit of a gritty taste in your teeth, that's from the charcoal. But luckily, I can tell you that it's doing your digestive system a really quite a good thing. And it will have also polished your teeth, because charcoal does have that effect. So the black is only temporary, I promise. And you'll feel much better tomorrow morning. So later on, there'll be some more charcoal buns and some more black food. So it's going to be a bit gritty, but it's going to be delicious. Okay. So that's the soap story. And just in blackness terms alone, like I was saying, most of our things are kind of lashed with bronze and copper and gold, and so we thought because it's coming up for Christmas, it was time to change a bit. I'm a bit of a Scrooge, to be honest. I really don't like Christmas, and I thought it would be better rather than doing all these blinging things to actually go for a black Christmas. So a lot of the things that we've been doing normally in copper have suddenly gone black. And again, you can see the net effect, which is really to draw the attention to the shape, and even the most minimal shape, if it's in the right proportion, will look kind of interesting in black. So you'll see these coffee tests, and of course, coffee in itself is of a black colour. And I think that you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the silhouette and the attention to the shape that this does. You're no longer distracted by the reflections or by the blinging copper colour, and you just draw your attention to the pure object itself. So you'll see a lot more black happening. These evocative shots of a bit of a mess. I'm a messy designer, and then so you can see how these things work and still look glamorous even in the most challenging of circumstances. So so pressed coffee, filter coffee, plunging coffee, espresso, stovetop coffee, all in black, and the pens go black as well. You'll see also some of the more drinking stories that we've got. So this range of flask type vessels, which normally have a copper band, also again is quite smoky, black, which graduates all the way up in quite a misty way. the whiskey decanter as well, and so on. So that's really, all I wanted to say in terms of trends. So basically, your take home is a bit of pink and a bit of black, okay? But and also your takeaway is thinking really about the our roots and our heritage and the blackness and the canal and the rest of it. And I have to say one thing more, which is really that we're closing down. Okay, so this is a very sad story, and but don't worry, we're not closing down forever. We're just moving. So what's happened most recently, and this is a total worldwide exclusive for you guys, is that our lease has come to an end here at the dock. I know, I'm sad as well. But fortunately, we found just along the canal another building. So this is quite a nice map, which is based on the London Tube map. This is actually a map of the Waterways of London, using the Tube map iconography. And it shows the hidden waterways of London, the Regent's Canal, the Thames, and the rest of it. And you can see that we're here at Ladbroke Grove, and if we take 2 stops down the Regent's Canal, and then 4 stops down the Grand Union Canal, we'll end up in King's Cross, which is where our new location is, weirdly, on the canal. So not only is it another dock, it's another Victorian building sitting on the canal, which is almost identical in size and shape to this one. So rather than being sad that we're closing down, you should be really happy, because we're going to have a load of extra events here to which you're all invited. We'll probably have a monster sale just before we move, and there'll be maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe in late February, early March, that we'll open with a bang in King's Cross, in this huge development, which is kind of interesting. Which is one of the largest in Europe at the moment. You can see here the Eurostar station, so quite handy if you're from Europe, or even maybe if you're coming from Paris or Ukraine, you could come to this cross. And a huge variety of different companies moving in here, like Google and LVMH. But more interestingly, the St Martin's campus. So the biggest art school in London is right here, with 5,000 pupils from all over the world. And our building is this. So in this whole massive new build development, we've got the only standalone Victorian building, which is just here, really close to the Eurostar and close to the station. So all of you can get there. Don't worry. You can still get your black stuff. But so this is the building, a slightly better picture from above. And you can see that although it's a bit more curved in a banana shape than this building here, it actually shares a lot of the brickwork constitution and really does sit on this very nice portion of the Regent's Canal here, with Camden Town over there, Gasworks over here, and Eurostar just down there. So we should be able to fit in a restaurant in this portion, our office here, and in the arches underneath a massive shop. This is it in the 50s when it was derelict. It was used a lot for night clubbing, mainly raves. A lot of people will remember it as a destination for late night clubbing. But more recently it's been derelict for a long time, and we've just started working on it. And this is supposedly what it's going to be looking like. This is you guys sitting outside having a cocktail. And this is the restaurant, the principal, the offices, and below, in these arches, the shop. So like I say, weirdly exactly the same as this one, but a bit better because there'll be more people buying stuff, we think. And also complete pedestrianised, which is also quite nice. So I think that's it. I'll leave you with this picture of me and my block of gold, which is now turned into a block of coal, maybe. And so what we've got upstairs as a menu is pork buns with extra charcoal in, so that's quite gritty, and a chocolate sauce in, more wheat crackers, there's some squidding, and a few other things. So please mill around, enjoy the new products.
Just before you
yeah?
go, is there any questions? Even in Ukraine.
I used to go to St Martin's and I was wondering what was going to happen with that building. I'm very excited that you're going to be there because I used to club there at Bagley's and the Cross. So I know exactly where that club is. So I think the fact that you're going to be there.
Tell us about the clubbing.
Well, I remember parking my car on that driveway.
Bagley's and the Arches. The Cross. Yes, and the Cross.
One next to each other.
Would you know? Possibly, yes.
We do have two questions.
Yes,
That's
please.
two Ukrainian questions.
So the first one, why did you make a decision to move out?
We had no choice. So the whole estate has been bought by a property developer. They're going to build some new buildings in the car park here. And although we could have stayed, we'd have had to move out and then move back in again, which, you know, from an economical point of view was pointless.
Дизайну, который решил сделать в другую область. And what was inspiration for the black, for the new black?
Did I not explain myself properly? Oh my God.
Okay.
Нам очень нравятся эти проекты, мы их используем в своих.
Just say it's quite nice colour.
Yeah, they are very pleased with your design and they use it a lot. That's
In
why
Ukraine?
here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you in King's Cross.
It's a good move. It's like an amazing hub now. King's Cross is just completely turned fabulous. So it's an amazing hub.
And we weren't joking, we will actually bigger, better, noisier. We won't do that, I promise. You can all go to the dentist and be like, oh, I've done charcoal. It's all good. It does.
Надеюсь, вам понравился шоурум. Я была в восторге. И на самом деле в реальности эти предметы еще более красивые, чем в каталогах. И в интерьерах они смотрятся замечательно. Если вам понравилось это видео, ставьте лайки. Если не понравилось, ставьте дизлайки. Если у вас возникли какие-то вопросы, пишите в комментариях под этим видео. С вами была Санина Катерина. До новых встреч!